Hello students, today we will see the different types of linear data structures. Linear data structures are divided into four types: array, stack, queue and linked list. In this video, we will be studying only an introduction to all these data structures. First one is array. An array is a finite, ordered, homogeneous set of elements. Finite means it has a particular maximum number of elements. That is, it is finite. There is an end. Ordered means the elements of an array are stored in an ordered format. Homogeneous means the elements in the array will be of the same type. For example, if we store integer values, then all the numbers will be integer. The elements of the array are stored in consecutive memory locations. That is, suppose you have 10 elements and the name of the array is A, it will be stored as A of 0, A of 1, etc., A of 9. The elements are accessed using an index or subscript. Index or subscript, that means what we are giving the position of the array. A of 1, that in that 1 means the index or the subscript. And the syntax for declaring an array is data type, array name, maximum size in square brackets. Maximum size represents the maximum number of elements that this array can store. It is also known as subscripted variables because we are using subscripts to access the elements of the array. Now we will see an example. Suppose we declare an array as int a of 10. Here a is the name of the array which can store a maximum of 10 integer elements. In C language, always the index starts or the subscript starts from 0. So, the elements will be numbered as A of 0, A of 1, etc. up to A of 9. And it is stored in memory as given below. That is, A of 0 will be the first element, A of 1, A of 2, etc. A of 9. That is, the 10th element will be stored at location A of 9. Next one is stack. A stack is also a linear data structure where we can insert and delete elements only from one end, which is called the top of the stack. That is why it is all known as last in first out data structure, because the last element which is added to the stack is the first element which is deleted from the stack. Some of the examples, real world examples of stack are a set of books, a pile of books, that is one above the other. We are storing a set of books. It is an example of a stack. Here we can insert and delete elements only from one end, and that end is called the top of the stack. And there are two operations performed on a stack. The first one is push operation. Pushing means inserting an element to the top of the stack. And pop means removing an element from the top of the stack. And we can implement a stack in two ways using arrays and linked list. Arrays is the easiest way of representing. I'll be showing only that part, how a stack is implemented using an array. That is the implementation of a stack using array. In this, we take two variables. First one is max, which represents the maximum number of elements that can be stored in this stack. And we also use another variable top, which represents the position of the top element in the stack. Here you can see 4 elements in the stack, and the locations are 0, 1, 2 and 3. If the stack is empty, then the value of top will be -1. And when we insert one element, assume that the stack is empty. That is, nothing is stored in this stack. So the value of top will be -1. That is, it is empty. Then first we insert A to the stack. So the value of top, that was -1, will be incremented by 1, and the value of top becomes 0, and A will be stored here. Then we insert another value, which is B. So it will be stored in this position, and the top value will be incremented by 1. Now 1 is the top value and B the value stored in the stack. Now we can insert the third element, which is C, and the top is incremented by 1 and the value of top is 2. Then insert the next element D, and the value of top is incremented by 1. So the value of top will be incremented each time when an element is inserted into the stack. Here we use two terms related to stack. One is stack overflow and the next one is stack underflow. We know that overflow occurs when something is full. And we have used a variable max, which represents the maximum number of elements that can be stored in a stack. That is, if the value of top equal to max -1, then the stack is full and it is called overflow condition. That is, for example, here this is the size of the stack. So max is equal to, max can store 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 elements. Here max will be 4. And this is max -1, that is 3. If the value of top is equal to max -1, that is 3, we can say that the stack is full. That is, here the value of max is 4 because we can store only 4 elements in the stack. And if the value of top is equal to 3, that is, if the value of top equal to max -1, then that is 4 minus 1, that is 3, then we can say that the stack is full. And this condition is known as overflow condition. If the stack is full, we cannot insert another element to the stack. That is, always we check the overflow condition if we want to insert an element. So each time when we insert an element, we have to check whether the stack is already full. The next condition is the underflow condition. Underflow condition means there are no elements in the stack. That means the stack is empty. In that case, the value of top will be -1 or null. In the example we have seen, in that we started with top is equal to -1. That means the stack is empty. -1 we can use, or we can use null. And this is known as underflow condition. And underflow condition is checked when we want to delete an element. That is, if the stack is empty, we cannot delete any element from the stack because there are no elements in the stack. That is, when we want to insert an element, we check for overflow condition, and if we want to delete an element, we have to check for underflow condition. Next, we have queue. A queue is a first in first out data structure. First in first out means whoever comes first will be the first one who will be deleted. That is, the element that is inserted first is the element that is to be taken out. It is same like a natural queue. That is, the elements in a queue are added at one end called the rear end and are removed from the other end called the front end. Suppose you are standing in a queue to book a ticket in the railway station. So the person who is standing at the front, a person will be standing at the front and a backside will be there, that is called the rear end. So front end will be there and a rear end will be there. If a new person comes, he has to stand behind the queue, that is at the rear end. And if one person gets a ticket, he will be deleted from the queue, that is from the front. So insertion takes place at the rear end, that is back end, and deletion takes place at the front end, that is from the front. That is, the elements in a queue are added at one end called the rear end, that is the tail. We can also say the tail end, backside, and are removed from the other end called the front. That is, we get a ticket from the front side. We can also implement queues using arrays and linked lists, and we'll be seeing how a queue is represented using arrays. Suppose this is a queue where we have 5 elements, and this is the front side and this is the rear side. So here the front value is 10 followed by 8, 4, 7 and 6. So front is equal to 0 and rear is equal to 4. Suppose we want to insert one value or add one value, then the next value will be inserted in this position, which is position number 5. That is, the value of rear will be incremented by 1. This is the front part and this is the rear part. And if you insert one more element, the value of rear will be incremented by 1. That is, in this example, first front was 0 and rear was 4. Then we inserted one more element. Then front has no change. Front is 0 and rear is equal to 5. That is, rear is incremented by 1. Suppose we want to delete an element from the queue. Deletion always takes place from the front. Think that here this is the ticket counter and the first person gets a ticket and goes and gets deleted from the queue. That is, this person will be taken out or this value will be taken out. So the value of front will be incremented by 1. Now the front will be the number 8. That is, during insertion the value of rear will be incremented by 1 and during deletion the value of front will be incremented by 1. That is, if we delete the element 10, the value of front will be 1 and the value of rear will be 5. Here it is 5 because we had added one more element here. And here also we can check for overflow condition and underflow condition. Overflow means the queue is full. Suppose max is the maximum number of elements that can be stored in a queue, then the value of rear will be max. That is, this will be the rare value. This will be, all the elements will be filled. Here one element will be there, here also one element will be there, and one more element will be there. That is, the value of rare is equal to max minus 1. We use max minus 1 because the index starts from 0. And next one is the underflow condition, that is, the queue is empty. If the queue is empty, we cannot delete any value, and if the queue is full, we cannot add one more value. Underflow condition is represented as friend is equal to null and rare is equal to null. If both friend and rare are null, we can say that the queue is completely empty and we cannot delete an element from the queue. And the next one is linked list. A linked list is a linear data structure which is dynamic. Dynamic means memory is allocated for the linked list during runtime or execution time. You will be studying more about linked list in the later chapters. Here, the elements in a linked list are stored as nodes, and this is called one node, and this is another node, next node, and one more node. 4 nodes are there in this linked list, and each node contains 2 parts. The first part is called the data part, and the next part is called the link part. And the data part will store the value that is to be stored in the linked list, and link part is a pointer part which points to the next node. So in a linked list, the data elements are stored as nodes where each node has 2 parts, a data part which stores the values in the node and a link part which point to the next node in the list. And here we can see one more thing, that is, the last node will not have a link part because it cannot, this is the last node, and this link part, there is no more nodes present in this linked list. So the value of this link field will be null, indicating that this is the last node and there are no more nodes following. So the last node will have the link field null. A linked list is dynamic in nature because each node is allocated space when it is added to the list. That is, whenever we create a list, that time we allocate space for the list. That is during execution. The last node in the list contains a null pointer, and the last node is also known as the tail of the list. Since the memory of the node is dynamically allocated, the total number of nodes that can be added to a list depends on the amount of memory available. That is, dynamic memory allocation means allocating memory during execution. So, when we add a node, we have to allocate space. So, depending on the total number of nodes, the memory is allocated. If there are a lot of nodes, then the amount of memory will be more. So the number of elements or the nodes that can be added depends on the memory available. And this gives an introduction to the types of linear data structures, arrays, stack, queue, and linked list.